Well, I would like to welcome everybody. It is good to be with you guys. Welcome everybody who's all around Central Arkansas with us today, around the world, watching on the internet. Glad you guys are here. I always consider it a privilege to come and to be able to share with all of you guys. It's also been fun getting to know a lot of you through various unnamed social networking sites. And I've also gotten the privilege over the last few months to get to meet several of you. If you'll see me out and you'll recognize me, you'll come up and say hi. And by the way, we love that. We love it. And my favorite part is, remember this, you need to come up and say that I'm funny. Because I'll say this all the time, I'd rather be funny than good. And I mean it. But some of you, though, you don't want to, and you give what I call the fellowship stare, right? So I'm sitting there at the restaurant or whatever, and there you are, over there, and you first you go, and then you give the double take extended stare. Or then you got to confirm with the person next to you. And then you both look and like, oh, yeah. And then, this is my favorite part, then you kind of give this smile. Yeah, I still don't know you. But that's great. Come on, just get up, come on, say hi to me, especially if my kids are with me. Because my kids think it's pretty cool that I'm kind of famous, that people I don't know will come up and introduce them to me. My wife will say I'm a bit of a glory hog, but really it's about the kids. You know what I'm saying? It's about the kids. About the kids today. Anywho's, but here's my problem. My problem is that I'm afraid that today is going to kind of shipwreck the whole thing. Because, you're the fun one. Oh, you come down from up north and you got your little funny thing. And then you come now, you're the guy that talked about money. Now, no matter what else has happened over the last few years or what happens the next few years, I remember he's that guy talking about money. And so, pastors can sometimes get this kind of anxiety, right, about talking about money because we know you don't want to hear it. And so I want you to think that I'm the nice guy and I don't want to say things that are tough. And because, we kind of have all these images in our head of kind of sermons that we've heard in the past about money, and somebody said it really, really bad, and we don't want to be associated with the people on the TV and all of these things that you see and hear. And so we get kind of nervous. But I was thinking, why is that? Why do we get so nervous? I mean, clearly the Bible is full of talk about money. Jesus talked about money all the time. It's so important to us. Why do I get nervous? It's because I think sometimes we just get so defensive. We don't want to talk about it. I think this issue, we just kind of put up these blocks when we hear sermons about money. And we feel like we kind of got to put up these little defense mechanisms against it because it's just a little too personal. Money is a big deal. We can have issue sermons. We can talk about these different things, but there's some of these we've been talking about, kind of affect some people a little bit, some people a little bit more, but there are none of us that aren't impacted by money. And so I've been thinking as I'm getting ready for this sermon about all these reasons why I feel like we don't want to hear about money. And so just kind of for a different way of going about it, that's kind of how we're going to set up the whole day. We're going to talk about today about the reasons why you don't want me to talk about money today. All right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And so some of these are going to feel like I'm punching in the stomach, and I'm sorry, I want to be funny, okay? We'll still tell jokes. It'll be fine. All right? All right, the first reasons why I think we don't really like to talk about money is that we're not very good at managing it. We're just not very good. And the last thing that we want to hear anywhere is someone bringing up a topic that we're not doing well in. There are some of you right now already. I said we're not very good at managing our money, and it just felt like somebody just deflated you. Because you know those bills that are sitting there on your desk at home. You've got an unopened bank statement sitting right there because you don't want to open it because you're pretty sure you know what it says, and you just would rather deal with that later. You know the struggles that you're having. You know the hard time, and the last thing that you want is to have to deal with that I understand what that's like. I understand. But there are some key principles that I think that we can learn from Scripture, that I think that can help us do better and overcome this sense of being overwhelmed by money. And the first thing that I want us to talk about in that regard is debt. There's a passage in Proverbs 22 I'd like for us to look at, verse 26 and 27. It says, "Do not be a man who strikes hands in pledge or puts up security for debts. If you lack the means to pay, your very bed will be snatched from you." I mean, the Scripture is pretty clear in that debt is not a great thing. If you don't have the ability to pay for something, don't buy it. But that is exactly what we do. We don't care that we don't have the money. We want it, we buy it. Now, I know right now, just even as we're kind of going, there's some of you that have already kind of got up your flag. What? Objection. Because you think debt's okay sometimes. And I get that. But let's kind of have this principle, okay? Because this is going to happen all throughout. I'm going to say certain things and you're going to be able to go, objection, if you want to. But here's the principle I'd like for us to do. I'm going to call it asking the girls to go clean their room principle, right? So you say, I want you to go clean your room. For how long? What? Everything? In the closet? Under the bed? Do I have to make the bed? And what are we asking? What is the least amount that I have to do to apply what you're saying to get you off my back? Right? There's always an objection. There's always something you can say. But instead of focusing on that, let's focus on these key principles. And the key principle is this: if you don't have the money, don't buy it. You know, I saw some stats as I was getting ready for this, that 43% of us spend more than we bring in. The average American spends $1.22 for every dollar they earn. Now, I'm a math major, not a finance major, I'm a math major. I don't think you have to be a math major or a finance major to figure out that's not good. And that is eventually going to catch up with you and hurt you. But this is what we do. We pile debt on top of debt, and we get these credit cards, and we max them out, and we get first mortgages and second mortgages and third mortgages to the point to where we don't have any equity in anything. We don't really have any money. We owe more than we're worth. And we're in a lot of trouble because we do not ask the simple question, can I afford this? We only ask the question, do I want this? And so we end up making these minimum payments on our credit cards, and what we don't realize is that as we go through these credit cards, we're making this minimum payment, even if you're not adding anything to it. The amount goes up and up. You think you're paying it off, but every month you owe more and more and more, and you're under an avalanche of debt, and you're just surviving. And what makes matters worse is not only are we in debt, but we don't save. Proverbs 21:20 says this: "In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all he has." The wise man has plenty of reserves in case something happens, but the foolish man takes in everything and devours it. We go a step further. Not only do we devour everything we have, we devour stuff we don't even have. We are devouring more than we're taking in, and we have nothing here set aside in case something bad happens. In fact, 70% of us are living paycheck to paycheck. And what that means is that if the next paycheck doesn't come, you're in real trouble. Not, oh, I'll have to make an adjustment here, I'll have to dip into my savings. Nothing. If the next paycheck doesn't come, the whole house of cards is going to collapse. Because